Good morning, everybody. Quick video. As you know, lost a hen over the weekend, and I have another sick hen. This is Hermione. She has sour crop. So before I start, my little disclaimer is I am not a vet. I don't know anything about chickens. I don't know anything about ailments for chickens, and you should not listen to anything that I say. So there's my disclaimer. In case somebody does something with their chickens they hear on the internet, then I guess somebody got sued one of these days. So people are saying, don't listen to me, I have no idea what I'm talking about. All right, so sour crop and impacted crop are the same things. They're kind of similar. They're still dealing with the crop. I'll let you guys figure out in Google what a crop is, what it does, what it should be doing, and what it should not be doing. Again, I get my stuff off the internet. You go to 5 different sites, you get 20 different opinions on how to treat sour crop. Obviously, the first thing is take your chicken to the vet. I don't have that luxury because, like I said before, we don't have any poultry vets currently in the Richmond area that are relatively easy to get a hold of. All right, so I feed my chickens the scratch, the feed from the store, snacks here and there. I don't go overboard on the snacks. I don't want it to interrupt their egg laying. And I give them grass clippings. I normally don't let them go out in free range in the yard unless I have mowed. I don't want the grass to be super tall, because one way to get an impacted crop that could lead to sour crop or vice versa is to get a long blade of grass stuck. So it gets down into the crop and it kind of hangs out for a while, then it moves through the digestive system. Got home yesterday from work, and all the chickens normally run up because they know I have snacks, except Hermione. Hermione stayed on the roost. So I said, hang on a second, Hermione, let's talk. So I go up to Hermione, and as soon as I get up there and I just pet her on the back of the head, she leans over and she vomits. Okay? Chickens cannot vomit. They don't have a gag reflex, so they're unable to vomit. So if you have a chicken that is leaking fluid from their beak, you have a serious problem. One of many things, but obviously you look towards sour crop and impacted crop first. So, picked her up, stuff flying everywhere, went ahead and grabbed a towel and sat with her in the yard in my little camp chair, and she just sat on my lap for an hour. My girlfriend came over, and you know your chicken is sick, unless you have a super cool pet chicken, that your chicken just lays in your lap, kind of the wings down, and her eyes closed. Well, I went ahead and isolated her like you should do with all sick chickens, and I kept an eye on her overnight. Well, let's look at sour crop. Sour crop is a yeast infection. So when you have yeast, if you've ever worked with beer or been made beer or made mead like I did back in the day, yeast is the active ingredient to get things going, the chemical reaction. Yeast ferments. So chickens don't burp or they don't vomit. So when that stuff becomes sour, it's a yeast infection, and it's going to grow in a sense. So sour crop is not going to get better on its own necessarily, although it can. Initially, you massage the chicken from the top of the crop down, and when I did that with Hermione, I could hear the bubbling. I could hear a little clicking. I guess that's her tongue coming up, covering the esophagus or whatever's back there. And I knew exactly what I had. Went ahead and massaged her, gave her a tiny bit of coconut oil. Maybe it's impacted crop. Let it sit overnight. Hopefully that'll lubricate things and get it going. I got up this morning and it was worse. She had not moved much over the night. Now she did poop, and her poop is a crazy color. There's some green, there's some black, but then there's a little bit of yellow, which obviously tends for me to lean towards some sort of infection. Certainly could be a yeast infection. You don't want that infection traveling any farther than it has to. The more it travels through her digestive system, the more damage it can do, and the longer it takes to fix and all that good stuff. It's got up this morning much worse, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna have to do this. And you should only do this as a last resort from everything I've read, because you have to worry about the chicken aspirating. If the chicken aspirates on the fluid or the objects that are stuck in the crop, you're done. Your chicken is not going to recover from being aspirated. You're not going to put your chicken on a ventilator and have them become better. So she was very, very helpful. Didn't necessarily have to wrap her in a towel. I put a towel on me because I knew what was about to happen, or I had an idea. And I kind of got a firm grasp on her. I leaned her forward, and I went and squeezed the crop from the bottom up. It did not take long before a lot of green, really smelly liquid and grass came out of her mouth. Got her back up. She had not aspirated. It's very stressful on the chicken, obviously. And so I gave her a second to recover. She did not aspirate. And so we waited a few minutes and we did it again. 1, 2, 3, down, squeeze, and again, came right out. This time, more grass, a little plug of grass. I mean, super, super tiny, but obviously large for a chicken's esophagus and crop. Again, picked out some grass bits that were hanging out of her beak, gave her a minute or two to rest, and we did it one more time. Now, the third time, it took a little bit longer and a little more pressure to get up what was down at the bottom. So that came up, and I went ahead and stopped, put her back in her cage, a little bit of water, and I scrambled an egg, a little bit of egg. So I don't want to overdo it. I'm not worried about starvation or dehydration just yet. Went out and tended to the other chickens. And I came back in and made a diluted apple cider vinegar mix, because the acidic properties of the apple cider vinegar will help defeat the yeast infection. Because I don't want to come home from work this afternoon and have all that fermentation go on and then it's right back up, causing her that discomfort. So the objects and the gushy stuff and the fermentation and the yeast, you have to get out, or she has to start processing it, one or the other. So obviously she needs assistance, and people can't drive this morning. So I went ahead and made up that apple cider vinegar diluted water solution, and I wanted to try to bring it up one more time. Got her in the bathroom, got a towel, covered it up, and when we did it, nothing came out. There's still a little squishiness down there, but no harm, no foul. Nothing came up. So hopefully she'll be able to process that. So I gave her probably 3 cc's of a very diluted apple cider vinegar water mix. Now, when I say very, very diluted, normally you put in a teaspoon per gallon. This was much more concentrated than that, but certainly not pure apple cider vinegar. Not that I don't, like that wouldn't hurt. So I gave her several cc's of that. She tolerated that fine, got her down in the cage, and she's resting comfortably. So when I get home in 10 hours or so, hopefully that will be either on the mend or it hasn't gotten any better or any worse. No, wait, I want it to get better. I don't want it to get any worse. But again, folks, I hope that helped a little bit. Again, you can go on YouTube, you can go on the interwebs, and you can find 10,000 different versions and treatments. Again, I just do what works for me. It may not work for you, but I had to try something, and I will update tonight to see if in fact what we have going on, if it's gotten any worse or not. All right, thanks, folks.